Good morning. I'm Pete Najarian. I am back. This is the Take for Market Rebellion. Had a day off yesterday. Had some dental work going on, so I had to step away. The Dow yesterday, though, that was really pretty interesting because it was hanging in there early on. The Nasdaq accelerate until it finished off the day more than 2.25% to the downside, 300. It was kind of hanging in there early, then started to get a little bit of pressure, finished down 280 points as you look in the latter part of the afternoon. It really was part of the moment in time where it really started to push down a little less than 1%, 0.8% yesterday. Crude had a big, strong range yesterday, but finally kind of finished off. We'd gotten all the way down to 99. We got all the way up to 105. We were in that big range. Like crude is sort of finding itself, and it seems to me over the last few sessions that we're finding the crude, after everything the president had done with the SPR and all the rest of that, it looks to me like 100, somewhere near the 100 level is where crude's going to be. Now, obviously a news story away from a big move, anything off of that. Volatility index, yeah, we're back having some volatility, closed back over 20, closed at 21 yesterday, 35 million contracts, a little bit quiet. Of course, we all know that we talk about it all the time, averaging closer to 41, 42 million contracts a day, 35 million contracts in a day. It's a pretty decent distance from that. And actually, it was a little bit short of that. The range, interesting. Again, gold also kind of hanging in there, sort of somewhere in this area. It had gotten up well over 2,000, but since pulling back right around 1925 seems to be an area where gold has kind of found some footing there as well. The 10-year. That's something everybody's been having a big discussion about. I know John had a big discussion about that yesterday on the halftime. Some great back and forth there with some of the panelists and so forth. 255, it's even a little bit higher today. We'll talk about that in a moment. Bitcoin right around 46,000. But yesterday, what was some of the areas that were really pulling on the market? Talking about the Nasdaq being down 2.25%. It's a pretty big move to the downside for the Nasdaq. Consumer discretionary getting hit pretty hard. Technology getting hit pretty hard. Semiconductors, not even pretty hard. That was down more than 4% yesterday. Energy did weaken a little bit later in the day. Financials, materials, all of those moving in concert to the downside. They were down a lot less, down about 3%. The idea, really a lot of selling across the board, hence why you see the Dow down nearly 300 and the Nasdaq down well over 300 points to the downside. So what were the areas? Was there any sort of strength at all yesterday? Yeah, actually a couple of areas. You look at some of the, I look at Smucker's, SJM. That's a name that we've been talking about a little bit more. People, we talked more about Coke and Smucker's and some of these types of stocks that are almost viewed as those safety stocks, showing a little bit of strength. Twitter had some nice follow through again. AstraZeneca, O'Reilly, those are the names that really were on the upside, but it was a lot more about what was going on to the downside. Boeing getting slammed again yesterday, down about 4%. Salesforce, Apple. Then you look over at the semiconductors, as I already mentioned, down about 4%, but within that group, Applied Materials and Lam Research and Teradyne and KLAC Tencor, Qualcomm, Marvell, you get the idea. They were selling, and they were selling almost everything within the chip space. Datadog, another one of those. Zscalers, throwing a little bit of Lucid. You get the idea. Moderna, all getting hit to the downside yesterday on a fairly decent move to the downside. So today, we come in. A lot more pressure on the markets once again. Dow down about 250 points. NASDAQ down about 230 points. The NASDAQ has been sliding since the start of the day, down over 300 points. We've seen the Dow down more than 300 points, then recover a little bit. Last I looked, I think it was down about 240, 250 points. But we all know it's going to move a lot, and it's only the first hour of the day. Where are we seeing volatility? Looking at the 23s for volatility, looking at oil, as I said, sort of has that magnet somewhere near that 100, maybe a little bit above. Started the day about 103. Last I looked, it was trading somewhere but closer to 101, 102. So a little bit of pressure there. Bitcoin back down on again, down around 45,000. Nothing bad, not getting bashed necessarily, but pulling back a little bit. That barometer that I've used for a long time for the NASDAQ, and we've been talking about this for quite a long time, but Tesla. And all you've got to do, you see the NASDAQ getting hit to the downside. What's one of the major leaders? You look at Tesla. Tesla just continue expectations, so it seems. And at some point in time, maybe Twitter will be part of that as well. We'll see. 10-year, right around 2.6. Now that's been moving around pretty good. We are up about 2.65, pulled back a little bit 2.6. Obviously, a lot of focus on the Fed and where we're seeing some of the what's going on with the 10-year, some of the inversion talk, which is still, of course, a big topic that's constantly going to be in our face now for a while. So I look at energy, started off up about 1%. It's swelled up a little bit. It's up about almost just a little bit under 2%, 1.7% or so. Technology was down, continues to flow even further down. It's down about 2.5%. Consumer discretion down a little under 2% to the downside, now down about 3%. You get the idea. Seeing some of that pressure specifically towards a lot of these NASDAQ type names. Industrials, financials, they're down somewhere close to about 1% or a little bit less than that. So you can understand why you're seeing the Dow also getting pulled a little bit. Some of the strengths, where are we seeing some strength? Well, ag, you look over at CF, you look at Mosaic, they're hanging in there pretty good. Newmont, talked about gold just a moment ago. I'll tell you what's really been started standing out a little bit more here and there has been some of those in the healthcare world. Take a look at Lilly, take a look at Merck. There's some option activity yesterday, as a matter of fact, in Merck to the upside. Then you look at some of that biotech as well. Amgen, Gilead, Regeneron, those names having a pretty good start to the day, at least early on. But the pressure, we talk about some of the cruise ships today, a little bit of pressure to the downside now on these cruise ships. You look over at CCL, you look at Norwegian Airlines as well, a little bit of pressure with American and Delta and United all down. Zoom getting a little bit of pressure as well. Some of those Chinese names, JD and PDD to the downside. You're getting the picture, right? Docu also down to the getting hit a little bit. It's that big cap tech. I mentioned Tesla, but let's not forget, take a look at what's going on with Apple, with Facebook, with Amazon. And as I said, Tesla, all of those getting a pull to the downside. That's going to be a huge influence. That's exactly what we are seeing. I got two unusuals, and then I'll be out of here and out of your hair for a little while until tomorrow. But Kroger, number one, trading just underneath 60, 58.45, 5,500 of the April 8th. Yep, that's Friday. That's a couple days from now. The 60 strike calls. Those are going for 10 cents up to about 20 cents. Not a lot of time, but not all that far away from where it's got to go. But we'll see if that's something in the cards. But certainly somebody out there, 5,500 of those calls being bought. That's an interesting sign. Another one that's expiring on Friday, Lyft. We talk a lot about Uber. We see Uber a lot more frequently than we do with Lyft. But Lyft trading underneath 36. We've got 4,300 of this Friday's expiring April 8th. The 38 calls, 10 cents up to about 25 cents. So two different stocks, different worlds, but very inexpensive options, taking a shot and some decent size, but these do expire very, very rapidly. So keep that in mind. Today's Wednesday the 6th. These expire Friday the 8th. They're not a whole lot of time, but they certainly can make those kind of moves. We'll see if they do. We'll be talking about that and a lot more tomorrow when you come back for the take. Folks, have a great day of trading. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.